I just started the recording.
Okay.
So we've been chit-chatting for a while. I'm like, I don't even know what I want to like introduce you as, you know?
I'm I don't know how I would introduce myself.
I know, me neither. I feel like, okay, so do you know who Sarah's Day is?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God. Okay, so me and my best friend, that's one of our favorite like people ever. So we basically saw
Okay.
her in her like single healthy girl era doing like fitness vlogs and like food videos, and she ended up having, really bad acne and health issues and all this stuff. So that's how she started, and now she's like basically a mom blogger who's also a
Oh,
fitness blogger, and she just kind of stumbled into it. But she's kind of similar to how I was talking about you earlier, where it's been so nice to watch you grow over the last 8 years. I think that's what we had decided on. 8 years is how long we've known each other, from a Love Your Melon trip, adventure, whatever that was called. I
retreat,
don't even
whatever
know.
that
Like,
was.
I literally to this day try to explain to people this, and they're like, why did you go? I don't know. Where did you go? Literally 4 hours away from civilization in the
No
middle of the
service.
mountains. And they're like, so that was just for free? Said, yeah. And then we had a whole bag of stuff that we brought home. I don't really know why we went, what we were
Anything.
doing, but it was incredible. It was literally incredible. We met so many amazing people from all over the world. And I just thought that, really, the United States, but really, I thought that
Yeah.
was incredible. So being able to meet you at that stage in your life and see you slowly but surely grow your social media in such an authentic way, I just feel like that's one of the coolest things. And she was very similar because we had kind of found her in our earlier college years, which was probably like 2013, 14, 15-ish. And just to be able to see somebody develop and their interests kind of develop and their career develop and then eventually have a family and be able to do all of that, I feel like watching you has been very similar in that sense. And it's
Oh,
been, I don't know,
thank you.
you do such a good job at, I think, being authentically yourself on social media and just sharing the ups and the downs. I think you do an incredible job about sharing your mom's life. And that's something I think I'm pretty terrible at in my own world. But I love the way that you share your mom. I love the way that you've shared your children and parenting and kind of just how you're doing it. You're like, listen, this is what I'm doing. This is what's working. This did not work. You're like, Penelope did not like this. She did not respond well to that. But this is what I do, and maybe it will help you. I love it.
That means so much to me. I feel like with social media, you get so much imposter syndrome. Every day I post, I'm like, what am I doing? Who is this going to reach? Like, this is so silly. And it's always the videos that you're like, we'll see if this does well or not. We'll see if this
And then it
impacts
just
people. Those are the
does.
ones that, yeah. And it's those moments of like true authenticity where I'm like, I'm going to be really vulnerable on the internet right
Hmm.
now and share something like my toenail falling off because I started
Yep.
running and like the really difficult parts of parenting. And it feels good knowing that's resonating with people and knowing that you're not alone in those
Yeah.
experiences that might feel very like siloed. So
Hmm.
I love it. And that means a lot that
Oh my
you
God, of
resonate with it, even though
course.
we're in like different stages of life.
I
And
think so many people
um,
do. I really do. I think so many people resonate. And even like your running journey, for example, the way that you're able to just bring people with you. I don't run. And I was like, oh my God, this is like the gear you need. This is how you like structure your training. This is what you do. I love that. It genuinely made me want to run, which is
same.
shocking. But I know because you've been there, you're like, I didn't believe I would want to do it either. But what made you
No.
originally want to start social media and start sharing your life and your family and like the highs and the lows of life?
Yeah. It just kind of fell into my lap. I've always loved social media and I've tried so many different things. Like I've tried to grow an Instagram. I
Hmm.
didn't really enjoy that. I've tried the blogs, I've tried the podcasts, but when TikTok came out, I was like, oh, I've tried YouTube like so many times.
Hmm.
When TikTok came out, I was like, this is something that might stick. I'm notorious for like starting things and stopping and then
Hmm.
starting and stopping over and over again. So I decided in, I don't know, like September 2022, I think, I
Hmm.
had a video go really viral. And I was like, wait a minute,
Hold up.
this can be something. Yeah. I'm
Wait a
like, this is
minute.
a
Hold the
silly little
phone.
video. Yeah, I grew like, I don't know, 15,000 followers in a couple days. So I'm like, okay, I need to lean into this. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know I have these pieces of myself that I would love to share and I'm willing to share. So let's do it. So I love cleaning. So I did a lot of cleaning videos. I love vlogging and
Nice.
sharing just
Yeah.
like our days. So I would do that. And then you know how everyone's like, you got to stick to a niche. You have to niche down. You can only do
Yeah.
one thing. I'm like, but there's so many different parts to me that I want to share. And if that means my growth will stunt because I'm going to show you every part, oh well.
Then I'd
I'm
rather
going to
it
just like
stunt.
stick to one thing. Yeah.
Wait,
So
I love that. I feel very, very similar. I have a friend
yeah.
who is literally going to listen to this episode. She's going to know exactly who she is immediately. And that has always been one of her biggest deterrents from just fully committing is the idea like, well, why would people be interested in this if they only like X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, no, 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 because you're a whole complex human being individual. There are so many
Yeah.
different facets of you and so many different interests. And I think that's in the long run what makes somebody interesting, what makes somebody
Yeah.
buy in to somebody, especially through any sort of platform. Like I said, for example, I don't personally run. I might get into it. We'll see. It's been brewing in my mind. But watching you go through that journey, that has nothing to do with my personal interests and the things that I do, but it's still something I'm so invested in and still rooting you on, even though it literally has zero effect on my life. So it is so true. Sometimes you don't, I've never liked the idea of niching down because it just seems
Yeah.
like you're cutting off the things that make you you.
Exactly. And it's a growth strategy. I get it. There's lots of people who go on social media and they're like, my goal is to make money,
Hmm.
which, yeah, I would love that too. Like, that's a great part of it. But I also really want to grow a community of people. Mainly, like when I first started social media, I kind of fell into that like work from home mom thing. That was
Hmm.
so prevalent in my life. That was my everyday. So it was very
Yeah.
easy to share that. I love sourcing jobs for people. That's like a little passion project that I have that I don't think I'll ever stop. But
Hmm.
then my kids went to school and I didn't have this work from home mom thing. So I kind of had to like re-examine what I wanted to share. And I realized like my ultimate purpose of social media is showing people that you can be a mom, you can be a wife, you can be a friend. Like there's so many different pieces to us. Like,
Hmm.
why not share how cool it is that I do social media and I have a full-time job and I'm training for a marathon, but I'm still a very present parent and I've got a great marriage. Like there's all of these different things
Hmm.
that make us us and like share it. I want to see it all. I want to see
Oh my God. I
everything.
literally need you to talk to this friend too, because I feel like that will speak to her. She will be like, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right. Because if not, you're just like giving a half-assed version of yourself and you're not fully
Hmm.
there. And I think the things that make us interested in our friends, even because that's how I feel like you are on social media. I feel like you're somebody that creates a community of like-minded people. Like it doesn't really matter if their interests are a little different or if they're in different stages of life, whether they have children or not, whether they're a full-time mom or they're a full-time, corporate baddie. But I feel like you do a really good job at bringing all those people in based on, okay, if we were two girls in a bathroom at a bar, we would hit it off and we would
Yeah.
probably be friends and we would probably hang out. And I think that's kind of the vibe that you give. And oh my God, my
Oh.
friend so needs to hear this. Like, so needs to hear it. And
Send her my
coming
way.
coming from somebody that has done it, what has been the number one thing that you tell yourself when you're in those moments of doubt where you're kind of saying, is somebody going to be interested in this? Like, why this? Like they usually come for the cleaning TikToks or they come for the parenting or they come for, the at-home mom while I'm working full time. What
Yeah.
do you say to yourself in those moments where you kind of question it?
That's a good question. It depends on my mood, to be honest. There's some
Yeah.
days that I'm like, I spiral. I'm like, this video completely flopped. Like I spent so much time on it. Like this is so
Yes.
defeating. I spent like 3 hours editing this video and it got
Yep.
200 views or whatever.
Yep.
And it's hard to get out of that mindset. I just don't care anymore how the
Hmm.
videos perform. And it's taken me so long to get to this point of just
Yep.
not caring. If the video doesn't do well, oh well, I'm going to produce another one. Like I love social media because it allows me to be creative. It allows me to meet
Hmm.
incredible. I've some of my best friends I've made through TikTok, like from the small videos that I'm like, no one's going to see this. And like one person
Yeah.
comments and then you build a relationship
Yep.
and that makes it all worth it. So I just, you just can't
You
care about those
commit.
vanity metrics. Yeah, you just commit. You're like,
Yeah.
hey, I said I was going to do this regardless of if this
Hmm.
video gets
And you
2
like
million
it.
views or 20 views. I love it. I love it. And I think that helps a lot. Like, I
Hmm.
know if a video flops, I'm not going to quit the next day because I genuinely love filming. I love editing. I love putting things out there. I
Yeah.
love engaging with the community. So, one bad video is not going to
At the beginning, I
ruin
think
me
it's so
anymore.
hard. Exactly.
Yeah.
Anymore. It's definitely a learning curve because you have to commit to the process and the outcomes
Yeah.
instead of the day-to-day small wins kind of, which is very
Yep.
counterintuitive. And if you've never sat and edited for 3 hours and posted something and you just go, okay, so two people and my grandma saw that. Awesome. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck did I waste that time for? That is
Exactly.
both humbling and frustrating because you sit there
Yep.
thinking, I just spent so much time on this and it was just a waste. But it's not a waste when you really think about it in the long run because those little things get you moving, they get you motivated, they give
Exactly. Yep.
momentum. And that's what builds something over time is the commitment. Like, you don't just show up on Monday, one day at the gym and be like, I'm fit as fuck. Like, that just doesn't work. You have to
You
keep
don't know.
going. But it's hard in
Yeah,
the sense of,
it's so hard.
I've done it more on like a podcasting side of things, and I've spent hours learning how to edit and do all of those things. And you post something and you're like, okay, where are the people at? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, this
Yeah.
is somebody better show up. Just give a thumbs up, a like, something, because I
Something.
just spent my whole day doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And
crazy.
do you know who Tara Yummy is? Have you seen
Yes.
her?
Yeah, I
She's
have.
that YouTuber. Her story is really cool to me because she showed up. I think it's every Monday. I don't like actively watch her or anything, but she was on the Just Trish podcast, which I love. And
Yeah.
she's like, I posted for like 7 years and no one was watching. And then now she's like the it girl. She just absolutely blew up. And like the thing
Yeah, I
about
just
social
see her
media
on
too.
TikTok and people say that
Yeah.
she's from YouTube and she's been there for
Hmm.
years and years and years.
Years.
And I don't know her well, but she just looks so cute. She looks like a
Yeah.
bubbly, like cute, super happy
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. And she just kept showing up every day. And the thing about social media, we have no control over like who sees the videos. And
Hmm.
once I realized like it's completely controlled by an algorithm, it's not me. Then I was like, okay, well, if it gets 200 views, I'm just going to blame the algorithm. Like, I
And
know
then
my
just keep it
content is,
moving.
yeah, I'm like, my content has done well this far. I've organically grown an audience up to this point. Like, there's no way that my content's just like shit, Maybe that's a
Yeah,
little
you're like, come
arrogant,
on, I've
but
got to do something right. And you have to think
yeah.
if if you just cater to a certain audience or an algorithm or a niche or any of those things, if you do make this commitment and you make videos every single day, every other day, every week, you one day are successful, right? Say one day, oh my God, you make it, you do all the things, incredible, amazing. But now it's so much more of a job because you are putting
Hmm.
yourself in a box instead of being able to just be yourself and do the things that you want to do. Like, say you just did your mom stuff, you just did parenting. You never talked about your marathon, you never talked about training and running and learning how to do those things. That would
Yeah.
feel misaligned. And then once you get there one day, now you're making content and you're like, well, 50% of my day is all these other things that I get to do that I love that now I don't share because I'm in this weird creative
Spot.
box.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't do it. I tried it. Like I tried to just put myself into that little work from home mom. This is what I do. I post videos about jobs. I post
Hmm.
videos about managing schedules. I post videos about what my day looks like as a work from home mom. And it became so exhausting because there's so many other parts of me that I wanted to share, but I felt like,
Hmm.
well, if I share them, they're going to flop. My running videos never do well, but making them holds me
Really?
accountable to doing it. Yeah, they always
Oh
get
my God,
like
that's crazy.
no
Because I
views.
literally wouldn't, I would have never guessed that. Like, I watch the running videos and I think, oh, this is definitely popular. This is definitely doing well because
Yeah.
I'm somebody that's not even interested in that and I'm tuned in. So
Yeah.
they have to
They're
be
not.
doing well.
They did for like when I was running with Rory, there's that mom
Yep.
aspect. And a lot of my
Yeah.
following is moms. So they're like, there was that piece, but now my kids are in school and I run by myself. So people are like, well, I
But
don't care
isn't
about you
that
running.
also kind of a good thing for moms to see? Like, oh, this is
That's what
something that I do
I thought.
selfishly for me without my
Yeah.
kids. Like, that's a good thing too, because you still have to be your own person outside of being a mom. And I think you do a good
Yeah.
job at that and showcasing that to people because if not, you can just get lost in it. And it becomes your everything,
Yeah.
your identity, and you lose so much of your own personal identity when you become a mom.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. It's like I've just gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I think I know who I am, like as an
Hmm.
individual now, detached from the mom and the wife thing. Like I know who
Yeah.
Alexis is because, I became a mom at 22. I didn't know who the
Yep.
hell I was at 22. Like I
Yep.
look back and like
That's
I was a
crazy.
child. I was a baby
Yeah. I feel like a
with a
child right
baby.
now. I
Me
can't even
too.
imagine. I'm like, oh my God. Like, those, all those memes and like the TikToks and videos where they're like, oh my God, a child bride. You're like, you're 31. Like, it's
Yeah.
time. Like, what are you talking about? But it does
Yeah.
feel like that. So I can't even imagine what it would be like at 22.
Gosh, I don't know how I did it. Like you just
But you
push
did
on,
it.
you just do
Yeah.
it. You
But
just do it.
honestly, I feel like you've figured out that, okay, I need to be myself first, and then I can be the mom to my kids, to Rory and Penelope, because
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a lot of moms out there that figure that out in a lifetime. Never mind when
Yeah.
they're girls, especially girls are babies, like them growing up with a mom who's her own person and a dad who's his own person too. I feel like being able to see that will do them such justice in the world. Like they will be so better off because of it.
Yeah, that was one thing when I became a mom. Like my mom was so good at that. She had
Hmm.
her things. She was her person. Like she was going to go out and have fun with her friends. She was going to go to the concerts, but she'd still show up for us every day as a mom. And
Yep.
like she had her faults, we all do. She had her own things
Yeah.
that she was going through, but I always admired how she went after her personal dreams
Hmm.
in whatever way that looked like. She went through a million different careers, but she was determined to find the things that she loved outside of being a wife and a mom. And like, I
Hmm.
need to do that. I want my daughters to grow up knowing that absolutely you can have children and get married and have that life, but you are Penelope and you are Rory and you're so much more
Hmm.
than just those two things. So like go after it. And if you don't want to have kids, that's fantastic too, but like know who you are at the core
Hmm.
and everything else will just fall into place. And
Yeah.
I kind of did that backwards, but we
But that's
got
a good
there.
thing too, because you got there. And I feel like
Yeah,
I think it gets like that because it's such an overwhelming responsibility in a job being a mom. And so
absolutely. Yeah.
if that's the case, then it's in your face every day. It's everything that you're doing. It's every reason why you're doing something is for a better life for your children. It just
Yeah.
becomes this overpowering embodiment of who you are, which is a really good thing. Like that's, I think, part of the journey. It's just at
Yeah.
some point you have to say, wait, I also still have to be my own person. And I also have to
Yeah.
still do things that are just selfishly for myself. And that makes, I think that's something my mom didn't do well is she didn't put herself first. And I didn't really understand that as a kid because I'm like, oh, I was raised with the type of love and commitment to children that I was like, children are your number one. Like my parents got divorced. So I
Yeah.
think that's also why, where my mom had to choose between, okay, this is not a good life for us in the sense of myself and my children. we are no longer going
Yeah.
to be in this marriage and do this, even though they were very happy for most of their lives. But I genuinely believe that after seeing her do that and stress herself out for so many years, I was like, yeah, no, something isn't like clicking. It doesn't make sense about that. Like, I love this devotion that mothers have to their kids. I think I'll be very much like that, where it's just like I will give my everything. But
Yeah.
also, I want to learn from her mistakes and be like, I can't give from a half-assed glass. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
work. It works better when I give from the overflow of my cup instead of whatever I have left. And of course you're going to have days where you do that and you're running on fumes and you're just figuring it out. But I think overwhelmingly, my mom taught me such an extreme of dedication and love and care in that sense. And then my life has showed me how that doesn't always play out well. It doesn't play out
Yeah.
well when you give so much to everyone else and you don't take care of yourself in return.
Yeah. And I think I would say a majority of people feel that way. Like
Yeah.
the narrative that we're pushed is like mothers give everything they have for their
Mhm.
children. And then you raise happy, healthy children because you gave all of yourself. Your kids are
Yeah.
going to grow up one day and they are going to go start lives of their own. And then what? And then what? Then
Yeah.
if you didn't take that time to nurture your marriage, is your marriage going to fall apart? If you didn't take that time
Yeah.
to nurture the creative aspect of yourself or the part of you that loved this hobby when you were 14
Hmm.
years old, like explore all those pieces, you're probably going to be a little bit miserable once your kids are out of the house. So
Yeah.
I try to make a really conscious effort to like feed those things that keep me going and try new things. Like I know nothing about
Hmm.
scrapbooking. I'm like, I want another hobby. So I started scrapbooking. Like there's little things
Yeah.
that are
And you
like,
just try it for a season too. It doesn't need to be, you're not
exactly.
married to this hobby. You're not married to this thing. You're like, oh, I just want to try it for a little bit and test it out, see how it feels. And if it's something that sticks, it's something that sticks. If not, I learned something really cool in the meantime.
Yeah, exactly.
I
But it's
like that
hard
though.
to do that.
I think that's huge for like moms and women and stuff. I think the best thing that a woman can have as an example for their mom is a happy mom. Like if they're really
Yeah.
happy, like you seem very happy. That's something that I like about you as well. It's like it doesn't matter what your interests are or your hobbies or what you do in your spare time or anything like that. But it seems like you have a happy marriage and it seems like you have happy, healthy friendships in your life that nourish you and support you and make you laugh. And I think growing up, whether you're a girl or a boy, it doesn't matter. Growing up as a child, you will be so much better off just by having a happy mom. Having a mom that like
Yeah.
loves their life and puts herself first and her children and her family, of course, but I
Yeah.
think a happy mom is like the best case scenario. So whatever makes that person happy is what they should do. And same for the dad too, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And that means a lot. I am very happy and I make like such a conscious effort to ensure that I'm happy and my cup is full because I know I
Hmm.
cannot give to anyone else in this house if I'm not happy and fulfilled and recharged. Like I have
Hmm.
no problem stepping away and being like, babe, I need time. I just need a moment because I'm going to become mean mommy if I don't just have 5 minutes to like recharge my batteries and
Yep.
be able to pour into my kids in a positive way. So
But that I
I'm
feel like
also
that
like a
half of that is picking the right partner. It seems like you have somebody that's
yeah,
truly a partner in life. Somebody that
yeah,
has your back, somebody that's there for you, somebody that does like I like the idea of where you're like, oh, it's not 50-50, it's 100-100. Like I do my 100%, you do your 100%. And we figure out, like some have strengths, some have weaknesses. We kind of
yeah,
fix the other person in that way and you level things out. It seems like you have a very good partnership when it comes to
yeah.
raising the kids.
We do. I'm lucky. I'm very lucky to have a active husband, father. Like there's days where I'm like, I have 10%. I need you to give 90%. He's like, okay, I got it.
Mhm.
No problem. And like vice versa. And we just, those open lines of communication and being able to be vulnerable with each other and be
Mhm.
honest with each other. Like the other night, I was like, I'm pissed off at you. You're making me so annoyed right now. because I don't feel like you're showing up in the way that I want you to show up. And it's like being able
Yeah.
to have those candid conversations so we can work on things. And he's like, you're right. I was very unaware of all of the things going on because I was siloed into work. And I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
that makes sense. What are we going to do to make this better so that we
Yeah.
can show up for our kids in a healthy way and make sure their needs are met
Yep.
and neither one of us is getting like burnt out in the process. And,
Yep.
we work on
And
it
that
and
takes
do better.
everyone in all parts. Like you have to come to him with good communication. He has to come to you with good listening ears and understanding and
Yeah.
being receptive to things. And then you both have to be like, well, this is my perspective. This is where it's coming from. This is yours. Our answer's probably somewhere in the middle, but we also
Yeah.
need to do something about it because either one or both parties are not happy with the outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's scary. It can be scary being that vulnerable. Even when like we've been together
Yeah.
for 11, almost 11 years now. I'm like, sometimes I still get nervous because I'm like, I just want him to be happy and I don't want to make him mad sometimes that, he's
Yeah.
like, you need
But
to
you
be
also
honest with
have
me.
to voice
So
it because
you have
if
to.
not,
Yeah.
it just builds up as resentment over time. And you're like, it's coming out one way or the other. It really doesn't matter how.
Yeah.
Like some people are going to be sad, some people are going to be angry, some people are going to be mad, whatever. But if you don't bring those concerns to the table, like they do live inside of you. They do need to
Yeah.
get out at some point in some way, shape, or form. And the more you avoid them, I think the worse that they get. So good for
Absolutely.
you.
I
You've got to
agree.
do it. You've got to say, listen, I didn't like the way that you did this. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing that I wouldn't say we struggle with it, but our parenting styles are very different. And a lot of people
Really?
say, don't marry someone with a different parenting style than you. And it's not necessarily that they're different because our ultimate goal for how we want to raise our kids is the same. But
Which
I'm
that's
very
probably
much,
the important piece.
yeah. And, we were both raised differently and had just different circumstances growing
Mhm.
up. And I'm very determined to parent different than I was parented.
Mhm.
And for me, that's like, I read the books, I put it into practice. I listen to the podcasts and watch the videos and
Mhm.
try to get as much information as I can
Yeah.
to put into practice. And he's more like, I'll learn as I go. And for so long, I'm like, this is frustrating. This is frustrating that I'm putting in
Yeah.
all the work and you're on this
Effort.
end.
Mhm.
And yeah, and we had to have a conversation of like, okay, is the end goal the same? And are our kids safe and happy and healthy? Then I guess it doesn't really matter how we get there as long as we're respecting each other and respecting our kids,
Mhm.
as long as the end goal is the same. Like you parent how you see fit in a situation, and I'm going to parent how I see fit in a situation. And it's interesting seeing him start to pick up on the things that I do. I'm like, oh,
Because
okay,
sometimes they
so you
probably
do.
work.
Yeah,
And you go,
he's like, oh,
oh,
that actually did work and there were no meltdowns and there was no screaming and I was very nervous because we had kids so young, like we didn't talk about
yeah.
how we wanted to parent.
Well,
So
yeah, it's all unknown. Everything's unknown. You're like, I didn't even know I was supposed to have these conversations. And then now,
yeah.
pregnant with a child, you are going to be a father. Like, it
Yeah,
doesn't
this
really
is
matter now
happening.
if this was a good fit or not. We are now doing this. So saddle
Yeah,
up. Let's figure this out.
yeah, so it's been fun to grow together in all of these different ways. Like we started dating
Mhm.
when I was 16 years old. So we've literally
Yeah,
grown up
everything.
together. So
Yeah.
seeing him become a dad and him seeing me become a mom and practice these strengths that like we didn't even know we had is it's
Yeah.
cool. It's cool to have a partner in that way.
That's really special too. And it's almost
Yeah.
good in a sense that you're different because you will pick up on those little things. You're like, wow, you did that and that was so intuitive to you and I wouldn't have done
Yeah.
it that way, but it worked. And same thing with you. You're probably putting things into practice and he's like, wait a second. My way's
Yeah.
not working. Like I don't even care what it is, but my way's not working. That went way better than any time I've tried to do it. What the heck are you doing? I
Yeah.
feel like that's
Yeah.
half
It
of
happens a
parenting.
lot. Yeah. And he's gotten good at just he's very proactive. So if he sees something coming, he's going to act upon it, which I was always a little bit more reactive because I grew up
Mhm.
in a reactive household. So that's been
Mhm.
really hard for me to break. And I'm learning from him about being more proactive in the parenting world and, letting go of some of that reactivity. Is that a word? I don't know, being so reactive
Yeah.
about things. So it's a good
Yeah.
balance. It takes time, and every age, you don't know what you're gonna get. You
Different
don't know what you're
problems.
walking
Now,
into.
different problems. And you're like, well,
Yeah.
okay, what is this? But I do feel like
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing is you want a partner that's there to do it with you and is committed to the kids and the outcomes that you want. And as long as your
Yeah.
goals are the same for your children, how you get there, you're like, guess it doesn't matter. Like if we have to be
Yeah.
somewhere at 2 p.m. and you want to leave 2 hours early and you want to do the scenic route and you want to do all this stuff, and I just want to get on the highway and get straight there. If we're both there by 2, what does it really matter? We're both happy with the
Yep.
outcome. We're both happy with how we got there. We're both there on time. We're there to do whatever we're doing. Great,
Yeah.
completed, check. It doesn't really matter how you get there. And I think that's one of the hard things about parenting too is you look at it and you go, well, I wouldn't do it that way. That's hard in life, never
Hmm.
mind in parenting, to look at somebody and be like, I would not do that way. And it's like,
Yeah.
listen, maybe zip your lips, just shut up, let them do it and be
It's
happy.
their canon moment. Like, just let them have it this way.
Let them have it. I've seen a lot. I
Yeah.
don't read parenting books or anything like that yet, but I do follow a handful of people that do, similar to you.
Yeah.
And that was one of those things that I loved was, and I don't know if it was like a TikTok trend or if somebody like explained an experience that they had, and then because of that, everybody was chiming in. Um, but it was like all these mothers that basically came together and they're like, I just started doing so many things for my husband for the kids because he was just doing it wrong. And I had already figured out a system and whatever. And one lady kind of like came in response to that. And she was like, oh, I had, my husband, when the babies were super, super young, had a question, something silly, not diapers, but it was like, for example, it'd be like, oh, how do I do this? I don't know how to do it. Basically kind of like looking at her to just come in and do it. And she was like, I figured it out. Why can't you? And I was like,
Period.
that is it's so humbling. It's so good. And it's so true. It's like, listen, A, you need to figure it out. B, I can't sit here and critique the way that you're doing something because you do it differently than me.
Yeah. It's hard. It is hard in so many different aspects of life. Like, my husband and I are so different in that way. I am type A, I am organized, I am structured, we have routine. And he likes his structure, he likes his routine, but he's a lot more flexible. I'm very rigid.
Yep.
So when he does things like, I don't know, got to be out of the house at 7 a.m. to take the girls to school. It's 6:50. Why haven't they had breakfast? And he'll be like, well, they'll just eat in the car. It's fine. I'm like, okay,
In the
they're going to be fed.
car.
They're going to get to school and they're going to be fed.
Yep.
It's fine. Just let it go. And there's so many like little things that I'm like, he's going to get the same result that I am. And if he's going to go there a different way, that's fine. Just let it go, relinquish the
Yep.
control. And it relieves so much stress from me from
Yeah.
feeling like I have to do it all the time. I just have to close
Yeah.
my eyes. Like sometimes I watch the way this
And
man
look away.
cleans. I'm like, oh, why did you
But you
do
know
it like
what?
that?
I'm going to come home to a clean house and
To a
I've got
clean
to be
house.
grateful for that. But that's good too,
Yeah.
because we do that even in our friendships. Like you have friendships that
Yeah.
they're exactly the same as you. They're so similar. And you're like, wow, we probably look like little Siamese twins, like doing all the same things. And then you have friends that are so vastly different from you. And because it's not like a relationship where there's so much contribution. I think in a romantic relationship, there's so much contribution to the betterment
Yeah.
of the family, whether it's just the couple or it's the couple and children. Like everything is a contribution to one another as a unit. I think that puts
Yeah.
more pressure on things where if you have a friend that does something different than you, likely you're going to admire it and be like, oh my God, I love the way they
Yeah.
do, blah, blah, blah. I just think it's so different and unique and whatever. But then when we do that with a partner, it's like there's more irritation there because there's expectations almost. And so I
Yeah.
think that's such a good practice to continuously do where you're like, you know what? It doesn't matter when they do it, it doesn't matter how they do it. It's the fact that they do it and they show up. And it
Hmm.
seems like you have a partner that shows up and that's really what you want at the end of the day.
It is. It is. And I think it allows each of us to have our own individuality. Like,
Yep.
we're not becoming the same person. We're already so similar in so many ways. And,
Yeah.
we're married and we have the family and the kids. Like, it
Mhm.
is, nice to have our differences too. And even when
Yeah.
it comes down to like the small things, like the way you take out the trash and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, we have like with us, with me and my boyfriend, we do blue jobs and pink jobs. Blue jobs are
That's
boy
so
jobs, those are for
smart.
him. Pink jobs are for the girls. Like, thank you. Um, like I've never since I've dated him, I don't think I've don't get oil changes. I don't take out the trash. I don't want to do those
This
things. There's just a handful of
so
things that
smart.
are just blue jobs and just
Yeah.
pink jobs. And then the rest, it's like, okay, maybe 75% of the time I do this, 25% you do that. Maybe we split something 50-50, whatever.
Yeah.
It is like the funniest thing. We have told so many people, like his parents love it, his family loves it, our friends love it. We got it from this girl, Georgia, on TikTok and Instagram. She's like the strawberry milk mom and she has like the bikinis and whatever. And so she started saying that and we adopted it. And now it's like the funniest thing ever because you can just be like, that is like not a pink job. Like I'm not doing that.
Can't
Like
do that.
that is a blue job. Like that sucks for
I
you,
need to
but
do this.
that's not gonna have that has nothing to do with me. That's not on me at
Yeah.
all.
That's so smart. I need to do that. I'm gonna make a
Oh,
chart
it's
and
so
everything
good.
because very type A. But yeah,
Type A, yeah,
trash,
you're gonna have a
that's a blue
chart.
job.
Oh yeah. I just said and I mean you've got to commit to the bit, you've got to be all in.
Yeah,
I just will never do that. Never.
that is
Like
so
you
funny.
gotta let it overflow. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. I didn't see.
That's a
I
blue
don't
job.
know. I can't do it. I can't.
Oh my gosh. As soon as my husband gets home, I'm introducing
But
this
it's
to him.
so funny
It's
too,
so
because it's
smart.
like I cook
Yeah.
pretty much every night for dinner because I like to cook. Like I enjoy cooking. I'd rather cook than clean. I've even been like that with
Yeah.
my roommates. Like I have had multiple girl roommates and I've always preferred to cook than clean. I'll like cook the majority
Yeah.
of the meals and then I just don't like clean it. But if I cook, I don't clean. So that's the other thing. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm just doing one. I don't know. But then again, you're like, there's always things that are super flexible and you're like, if you're
Absolutely.
working 80-hour work weeks or I'm working 80-hour work weeks or we're just busy or life is coming out, like, of course you show up, you do the things. I mean, I don't know if I'm ever taking out the trash unless he like breaks both of his legs, but maybe. I'll never say
Maybe
never,
one
but
day.
probably
Knock on
not.
wood.
It is unlikely, but not 0%, but like 0.001. We'll see.
I love that. That is so smart.
Yeah, it's
It's a
good. It's
good
a
way to
tried and
start
true, and
things.
it's an easy way to be like, that's your shit. You gotta do your shit. Like I know when I gotta do my shit. Like, oh,
Yeah.
we don't have this, this, and this. That's a me thing. Like if we run
Yeah.
out of something, that's a me thing. But like, I don't know if something
Yard
happens,
work,
if my oh no.
getting gas. Mm-mm.
Yeah, no. Like my car
Like,
broke
not me.
down and I was like, ooh, luckily he was doing everything, but I was just like, oh, this is so lovely. This is so nice.
My car broke down, but it's your problem. That is
Yep.
how I need to live
Oh, that's so
life.
lovely though. And because you're just like, listen, it goes both ways and it doesn't really matter. Like I like the idea of
Yeah.
blue jobs and pink jobs because you decide as a couple. Like it doesn't matter
Yeah.
what like it's not like a gender role thing. It's just these are things I want to do, these are things you want to do. Here's all the stuff we don't really like doing. We kind of just split that 50
Yeah.
50. However that works out. Um, but it just makes it so funny when you're just like, yeah, no, that sucks. I'm not doing that. Like I
So
feel
funny.
for you, but that one's so on you. And one of the
Yeah.
things that I love that you have done, and I said this, so I think you know where I'm going. I said it before the podcast, but one of the things that I think you've done so incredibly well and I admire on social media is the way that you talk about your mom. I think that you have done it in such a beautiful way that people are like opened up to her personality and her story, not just your story of her, but who she was. And I think
Yeah.
that both you and your husband do such a good job at celebrating your mom and bringing her into things. Like, I think it is the cutest thing in the world that you guys have a picture of her in your kitchen and you have brought in this from place to place to place. And like on the big moments or the special days or whatever, like you're making a drink or something, and your husband literally pours one for your mom and you guys like put that on the mantle of her picture. I think
Yeah.
that is beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, she was just such a big presence that even though she's gone, she's still like she's literally I've got my picture of her. Like she's literally everywhere.
Oh,
Like everywhere we go. And it was so important to me. Well, so my husband knew my mom. Like my mom set us up. So he already had
yeah.
his relationship with her, which I think is just the most special thing that he knew who she was, and we get to bring that into our marriage, and we both get to bring that to our kids. But
Yeah.
she's very alive for him too, in the same way that she's
Yeah.
very alive for me. We don't talk about her in the past tense. My kids from day one, I'm like, this is your grandma. You are going to know her. And it's gotten to the point where like
Oh,
we'll be sitting at the table eating breakfast, and they're like, say good morning to your mom. What are you doing? Hi, Grandma Jamie. Or anytime there's a sunset, they're always like, thank you, Grandma Jamie. Anytime we get a parking spot, thank you, Grandma Jamie. There was a moth. You know how moths are like supposed to be your ancestors? There's a moth in the laundry room last night, and Penelope was like, hi, Grandma. I'm like, she's so
oh
real for
my
them
God.
too,
Hmm.
even though of course they didn't know her, they've never met her, but
Yeah.
it was so important that I'm like, she is going to be an active presence in our lives, whether that's through the sunsets or through finding parking spots or through giving her a drink when we're celebrating something. Like she's here and she is
Mhm.
not going anywhere, whether you like it or not. And my husband embraces that like to the max all the time. And it's just special. It's special that I have a partner who's not weirded out by that. And it's not like, why are you talking to your dead mom all
Oh,
the time? I'm like,
what do you mean,
she is
girl? You're
very
like,
much
oh,
here. Yeah.
sorry. And I think I mean, so you grew up partially with a single mom, and then you had a
Yeah.
stepdad as well that was active in your life, but not your real
Yeah.
dad,
So
right?
my mom, no, my
Yeah.
biological dad he's never been active in my life. And then
Hmm.
my mom married my stepdad, he's my dad. He's been there
Yeah.
forever
Yep.
when I was 5. So,
Okay.
and then he's just been a constant. And like my siblings, I've got a younger brother and sister who are now 20 and almost 18, which is
Wow.
insanity.
That
I
is
know,
crazy.
crazy. They're from my mom and my stepdad, but like they're my babies.
Yeah.
They're my siblings. Like
Exactly.
never knew anything different.
I think that there's something special about that. I know I feel like that. I had a very single mom growing up. Like my parents got divorced
Yeah.
and we were like, maybe I was like 10. Like we loved our dad growing up. He was incredible. He just kind of lost his way. That's like part of his story and journey, but obviously that ended their
Yeah.
marriage. And so most of our lives, my mom was like a single mom, like really struggling to raise kids and work full time. And she was sick and she did all the things. But I think even more when you have such a close relationship with your mom, it's even more important to bring that out in your kids and your family. I'm not great at this. Like, I don't do a great job, especially because I've moved around so many places that people don't know her.
Yeah.
So it's usually not the
Yeah.
first thing that you're bringing up because people are like, oh my God, do you have dead parents? So they're like, what do you mean? And you got to explain it
Okay.
and be like, I'm not going to burst into tears. Like everything is
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. But people
I'm
are
all right.
very scared. Yeah, they're like, oh, and what about your mom? And you're just like, oh my God, like I got to tell you this and I got to break the news to you in an easy
Yeah.
way because if not, this will be so awkward so fast. But
Yeah.
when you grow up with a very like powerful, energetic, big personality mom, that becomes so much of who you are. I think as a
Yeah.
girl, that's how I have always felt. Like as a woman, I'm so like some of my best qualities are the things that I would define my mom as. And I think
Yeah. I
that's an
love that.
important piece to bring to the table as well. And I think that's what you do really, really well. I think you celebrate
Thank
her
you.
well and the similarities and like the idea that so much of who you become as a woman is based on your mom and the way that you were raised and the person you became because of her.
Yeah. Thank you. That means a lot. It is it's hard being so similar to her because there's times where I'll
Mhm.
go home and they'll be like, you look just like your mom. And then everyone gets sad. And it's like, emotional. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
let's not go there. I'm not healed
Yeah.
enough to deal with all of this right now. But I just like my mom was 39 when she died. She was so
Jesus.
young. So I'm like, you're alive, girl. You're here. Don't worry. Like, I know you're
We
here.
kept
I
it
know you're
going.
present.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like, even though you might not physically be here, I talk about her all the time. I'm like, I have made room, I've made space where my grief, I'm not going to allow the possibility of it making other people uncomfortable
Hmm.
affect how I talk about my mom. So same thing. Like
Yeah.
people will be like, "Oh, what did your mom do?" I'm like, "Well, she's dead. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm totally fine. She's
Yeah.
dead, but here's what she did and here's a peek of her life and she's still very much
Yeah.
active in our world and my kids know her and my husband knows her and
Hmm.
our friends know her and
It's a good way to
I've like
honor it. Like both. You
yeah,
honor both and the pain and the love that comes with both of that duality, knowing that
yeah.
you're sad that she's not here, of course, but this is who she was. This is who she is in our lives.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect way to put it. Like she's still here. I know she's
Hmm.
here. Like I feel her presence every day. Like she sends so many signs and you know, I refuse to not let her in that way
Yeah,
because, she was so young and she deserves to
that's
live
so
on. Like,
crazy.
girl, you're
39 is
supposed to,
so crazy. And it was 7 years ago,
right?
right? Eight,
Yeah, it'll be 8 years in
7,
October. The
8 years in
older I
October.
get, the more I'm like 39.
39 is fucking
39
crazy.
is
Like my mom died at
insane.
53, but I think you and I were similar ages. So I don't
Yeah.
like my mom didn't have me young, but I would assume your mom had you relatively young if she was
Yeah, she
39.
was 18.
39. Oh yeah. Okay. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
39 is so young. That is
No,
so crazy.
it's yeah. Yeah, and when I mean 52 is so young too. Like when you
Yeah.
think about
Hmm.
how I mean, we're what? How old are you?
I had to think about it. 28. I'm 28.
20. Okay, yeah, same. I'll be 28 in July. I'm like 30 is right around the corner, which means 39 is not far
39.
away.
Like with it,
You know,
it's almost like you think in decades. So that's what I was
yeah,
just thinking too. I'm like, okay, 30 is right around the corner. In that decade, like that was your mom's last decade, was 29 to 39.
yeah. Crazy.
In absolutely
And
insane.
yeah. And when you're like I was 20 when she died, so when you're
Hmm.
that young,
Yeah,
39 feels so far away. You're like,
so far.
okay. She lived to 39. She's almost 40. Like 40 is pushing pushing it. I'm
And you
like,
almost
40?
make it like very normal. Like I know
Yeah.
for my mom, it was like I was 19 when she died. Like that's not normal at all, but
No.
because there's an element of knowing what's coming in a sense and like
Yeah.
somebody being sick or anything like that where there's like some inkling of what might happen or what is to happen, you almost rationalize like that person as that age in your life forever. Like my mom will never
Yeah.
grow old. She will never be a grandmother. She will never be like old in that sense. And so you
And
think, oh, this makes sense. Like this is until you talk about it to people and they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like that is not normal. And then you think,
so
oh, it
true.
is so young. Like it's
Yeah.
literally so young. Like both of our moms would have had more than half their lives ahead of us, of them likely.
Yeah. Yeah. When you put it like that, oh my God. That's
Mhm.
it's
I was like,
crazy.
don't say
It
it.
really is crazy. And yeah, the older I get and like the closer I get to her age, like when she got
Age.
sick, I'm like,
Wow.
how is that even
It's
possible? But
crazy. I bet raising
yeah,
children is really crazy too. That's something that I've always thought about. Like, I can't
yeah,
imagine, like, I can imagine, and then I know it'll be so different once I'm there. But like, to have a little version of me that then reminds me of my mom in that
yeah,
same way. And you're like, oh my God. Because I grew up with my mom's nana. So, like, my nana's mom my
Yeah.
great grandmother, my mom told so many stories of her. She was like, she was just like us. She was like, she had like so much spunk for a girl. She had so much confidence. She was
Oh,
so like, she was just fun and we loved her and you would have loved her like 'cause she was super old when I was born and then obviously died. Like I feel like great grandparents are usually like within that little time frame as well. But
yeah.
I can only imagine then having a little version of me that reminds me of that as well. Like in addition,
Yeah,
that is so crazy to me. What
it
has been,
is.
and instead of doing like the, oh, what's been the hardest of like not having a mom? Because I'm sure there's a handful of things, but what has been like some of the most meaningful things that you've had through having children that also remind you of your mom?
Oh my gosh. Oh, I think the coolest thing is reflecting on what my kids are ringing the doorbell. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Oh my
they're like,
gosh.
they're here.
Yeah, they're back from Hula. Um,
Oh,
Picturing like looking at it, mainly Penelope, I see so much of myself in Penelope. It is the craziest thing. I look at her, I'm like,
wow.
you're literally me at 5 years old. So getting to flip the script and think about my mom did this. This was my mom. This was my mom with me. And now this is me with my daughter and thinking about all of the things my mom might have felt when she was brushing my hair as a little girl or taking me shopping or taking me to the playground and like all of those things. It's like a little insight into a piece of her that I never understood because
Yeah,
I wasn't a mom yet. And like I think that's a really cool thing for moms to look
yeah,
forward to if you don't when you become a mom, if you don't have a mom, you get this whole
yeah.
new like insight into a piece of your mom that you wouldn't have known unless you became a mom.
A
Does
mom
that make sense? I
yourself.
don't know if that makes
Yes,
sense,
I'm
but
like so looking forward to it too, because I feel like that's something that it has always been in the back of my mind. I actually had somebody in my family that lost their mom really young in high school. And she was like, you know what, Liv? Everybody talks about the day you get married and the day that you graduate as these big moments that you're gonna miss your mom. And she was like, honestly, I kind of skated through those. Like, of course they were hard, of course they were sad, but she was like, there was nothing that was quite similar to having children and like wishing
yeah.
they could be there and all of that. And I'm sure there's a lot of pain that's associated with that, that literally I'm like, well, I'll feel that one day, great. But I think there's also a lot of beauty and joy in it. You're going to get little glimpses of that. And then, like you said, you have this insight almost as to,
Yeah.
you know, maybe what she was thinking and feeling and why she did the things that she did and like the way that she raised you and why. And then now you get to have that gift of being able to do that with somebody that in the same way reminded her of you. Now that little
Yeah.
girl reminds you of yourself.
Yeah. It's true. I agree with your friend or your cousin who lost a
Yeah.
mom, family member who lost a mom young. Of course, like my college graduation was 6 months after my mom died, and it was Mother's Day
Yeah.
weekend. It was
Oh, I'd be like, guys,
horrible.
why did you do this?
Yeah.
That's so
And
bad. That's so terrible.
awful. I'm like, wow,
I'd be like,
okay.
fuck
But
you guys. You couldn't have picked a different
yeah,
weekend. Fuck
out
you
of
guys.
every a day before, like, come on, anything.
Yep.
Um, but I got through it. And like
Yep.
getting engaged, of course I wanted to call my mom, but I got through it. Marriage,
Yeah.
same thing. The biggest like difficult milestone I've had so far was birth, like actual birth. And
Yeah.
then just wanting to call your mom and be like, my kid's acting crazy. What do I do? What am
Yeah.
I supposed to
I
do?
know I was a little shit. What do I do? Like, what worked for me? Because this little shit is exactly like me. And I don't know what
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah. Just venting like those small things that I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
they won't stop bickering. How do I get them to stop bickering? Like there's just small things. That's
That
what
you
hurts the
wish you had
most
them.
is those tiny
Yeah.
moments that I'm like, oh, I can't text my mom a picture of
And
the
when you
girls
have a
like
good
playing in the beach.
relationship of your mom, you want those things. Like sometimes you don't have a relationship with your mom or your dad or whatever, but if you do have a good relationship and you lose that person, you're like, wow, in times of like extreme despair and toughness, that's like when you're facing challenge and issues and just life, those are the moments you want to reach out. And the
Yeah.
moments that you're like, oh my God, I'm so happy. I'm so excited. I don't even know what to do. Like I have a friend that just got engaged and she was like, it was so interesting to see the people I was just dying to call. Like
Yeah.
friends and family and parents and like just people in their lives that they were like, I just wanted to call them so bad. Most of which are still here today. Like, God bless, thank you. But
Yeah.
in other senses, like, those are the things that like you're lucky to have a relationship with your mom that you want to do those things, even though it's painful. I know I'm in the same boat. It's painful to
Yeah.
not have, but we're lucky that we did get it.
Yeah. Absolutely. It is a blessing. Still wanting to call my mom every day and like still
Yeah.
wanting to call her every 5 minutes just to check in because
Yeah.
we had such a good relationship. Like it breaks my heart when people will comment on my like videos about losing my mom. They're like, my mom's still here. We just don't have a relationship. I'm like, that
It's so
that's a level of
devastating.
grief that I couldn't even
Hmm.
understand. And like as a mom, I could not understand not having a
Yes.
relationship with my kids. Like,
Yeah.
how do you
It's so
do that?
sad.
Yeah, it
Hmm.
is.
I
It
think those
is.
are just
So
people that lost their way as like a parent,
absolutely. Yeah.
every parent was like once a child and just didn't figure certain things out and made poor decisions probably along the way. But it is so devastating when you're like, wow, I relate more to somebody that lost their parent during these times than I would relate to somebody that has their parent because they're just
Yeah.
not in my life.
Yeah. It is sad. It is sad. But I think, I try to bring comfort through my videos about grief to anyone who doesn't have a
Mhm.
parent in their life, whether it is through death or it is through a strained relationship, a severed relationship. Like I I didn't know how to navigate. I don't know if you felt this way too, but like I had no one to lean on when my mom died. No one I knew had
Yeah.
experienced this. And it felt very
Yeah,
isolating and
pretty
it felt very
much.
like, is this feeling normal? Is this feeling natural? Like I'm feeling
Hmm.
real angry today. Is that normal? And there's like the 7 stages of grief. I'm like, but that doesn't totally align with how I'm feeling 8 years
Yeah.
later. Like I don't this
I
doesn't
think
really
it's
fit
tough
my
because
picture of grief.
some people don't even have good understanding when their parent dies of just old age. Like some people
Yeah.
struggle with the 7 stages of grief, even then, even when it comes at a time when it's quote unquote supposed to. So I think when it
Yeah.
happens prematurely, 18, 19, 20, 25 years old, even, it is
Yeah.
just so different and your life looks so different. And there's not a lot of people that do relate. I think that's
Yeah.
a beautiful thing that you are doing with sharing your story is it helps people feel that like, oh, I'm not alone and you get it. You get it more than anyone else. Like I have a couple friends through college that have lost their mom that those relationships kind of came after I
Yeah.
lost my mom. So it was like kind of there during that time, like some more than others. But then over the years, like I've been able to be there more so for people that have lost their mom, which is super sad, but it's an honorable place
Yeah.
to be because you just go,
It
I
is.
get it. I've done it and it's hell and back and it's treacherous and it's hard, but this helped me. This was something
Hmm.
to lean on. This was something that kept me like grounded or sane or any of those things during that time because unfortunately we learned that lesson super super young, whereas some
Yeah.
people learn it in their late 20s, some people learn it in their late 30s, some people are lucky enough to learn it in their late 60s or 70s and their parent passes at like a very of age type of way. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, it's one of those things. I think I didn't have a ton of resources either, but hearing people, I love hearing people's stories and
Me
the
too.
things that really hurt them, the things that really help them, the things that really make them happy. Because there's still a lot of moments of happiness, even within the grief, that, like, somebody may not be there, whatever, but you just have this beautiful memory of someone and something like I very much align with the sunset as well. And, you see a beautiful sunset and you're like, oh my God, that's such like a beautiful thing. That reminds me of somebody that I love that's no longer here.
Yeah. Yeah. And finding those little things that just make you happy. I like what you said about this being like an honorable position to be in, being that like
Yeah.
the dead mom friend. That's what I
The dead
coined
mom
myself
friend.
as.
You're like,
I'm
oof.
like the dead mom friend. Yeah, one of my best friends. Her mom passed away 8 months after my mom. We're
Yeah.
coming up on her death anniversary. But I posted a picture of my mom, I think the day before she passed away, and didn't know this girl. She met, hi Jen, if you're listening to this, she messaged me on Instagram and was like,
Mm.
my mom's sick. Can we meet up? And like a couple months
Oh,
later, we went and
chills.
got brunch. And now, like, she's one of my closest friends. Our daughters, her daughter and Rory are a month apart. Our husbands are friends. Like, they are our people. And like,
Oh,
that's my dead mom community and my friend Lauren. Like, there's just
yes.
so many people and relationships that I've built because our moms are
Because
dead,
of it.
which is so
Yeah.
tragic, but they are some of the most beautiful friendships because we share
Yeah.
something so taboo and so
Yeah.
sad.
And that most people are never going to understand, even if you lose somebody later
Yeah.
in life, it really is just different. It's different
Yeah.
at every stage in life, and everybody has different relationships. But really,
Yeah.
losing somebody that profound at an age where you're still supposed to be a kid, but you likely took care of this person, that is
Yeah.
so different than anything else really out there. Like you lost a parent when you were supposed to still be a child, and then you took care
You became
of
a
likely
parent.
other people and the situation itself and all of that. So when you meet people with that similar type of background, it is so special and it is so unique.
Yeah, it is. My sister was 10 when my mom died, and my brother was 12. And even
Jeez.
their grief is something that I'll never understand because they were true children. Like
Children,
they were babies. And
babies.
I, I try so hard to be there for them and help them through their grief, but I don't I don't know where to begin with understanding the grief of losing a parent when you
Mm.
are literally a child,
I think
an
you do your
infant.
best.
Like,
There's literally
yeah, you
nothing else you can
do.
do other than your best. I had my very best friend, Haley, she'll know this immediately when my mom died, like officially. Not that it wasn't official at any point, but obviously when somebody's sick, it's, taking a lot of time and you don't really know, and everything's kind of in this really weird in between. So people are supporting you, but like what's happening really? But I
Yeah.
think once my mom actually passed, she had texted me and she was on vacation at the time, like with her family, like literally on a family vacation. And she was like, Liv, I have no idea what you're going through. I have no idea what to say. I have no idea what to do. I just want you to know that I love you so incredibly
Oh,
much and I am so here for you, whatever you need. And it was one of those things I like at a time where everybody just said, I'm so sorry for your loss. Let me know if there's anything you can do. And it's a lot of the
yeah.
same things, which trust me, those are still great things to say. I don't think that you can really I don't think that you can ever go wrong with saying something. I know that's like, oh, what do you say during this, whatever? You say what you think you should say. You say what you think that
Yeah.
person needs to hear. You say, based on your relationship, just something that might bring that person some support, some warmth, some love during that time. But she just came at it so honestly. And she's like, I have no fucking idea what you're going through. She's like, I don't even have a fucking clue. And she didn't try to like play it off or anything. And she was like, I am just so here for you. And it felt like the most honest and true thing because it was
Hmm.
a friend saying, I actually have no idea what you're going through. I don't know a single thing about dead parents. We are children. What are you talking about? But I love you and I'm here for you. And those relationships are super meaningful as well. There's
Yeah.
the people that get it, and then there's the people that don't get it and they love you anyways.
They
And
love
they're
you
like, I'm
through
here.
it.
Whatever you need to do, I'm here.
Yeah. Those are the best relationships. Anytime
They really
someone's like,
are.
I have a friend that's mom is passing away or parent is
Yep.
passing away, what do I do? I'm like, just be there. You don't have to
Yeah.
say anything. You don't have to,
Mhm.
there's no fixing it. So
Yeah.
just be there. Like saying, I'm sorry, like all those
Yeah.
things, like you said, they're fantastic, but this is something that's unfixable. So don't try to fix it. Don't try to
Mhm.
make them feel better because they're gonna feel like
Yeah.
shit like for a long time.
Yep.
And just let it be. Just
Yeah.
show up.
And
Just
there's
show
so
up.
many different stages of it too. Like I remember when my mom was sick, we were in the hospital and it's like we're just in the hospital. And then once we were going home, it was definitely going to be on hospice. Like we all knew that, whatever. And my best friend Dre was just like, I'm just gonna come. And it was just
Yeah.
like, okay, because it's one of those things like you don't really know what to do. Because sometimes people are like, oh no, just family and whatever. And for a really long time, it was just my brother and I kind of attacking this and just like
Yeah.
being my mom's support system. And Dre one day was just like, I want to come to the hospital. I just want to be there for you guys. I want to see your mom. I was
Oh
like,
my
she's
gosh.
not looking good, girl. Like, it's not
Yeah.
good. Like, I want to warn you as well because, if you haven't been there throughout like day one compared to day five, compared to day 15, like things are looking not good. And she was like,
Yeah.
I don't really care. I just want to be with you. I don't want you to be alone and I don't want her to be alone.
Oh,
And little things like that, you're like, once again, you have no idea. Like, you don't have a clue how to support somebody. You don't have a clue how to be there during those times.
yeah.
But I think that's what makes true friendship. Like I've had a handful of
That's
friends that have ended careers and relationships and all these different things that are just so extreme and like such a life altering moment that I go, all right,
hmm
I've never actually had that. And you realize like, yes, ours is dead parents. That's our thing. It's a little like, oh wow, that is shocking. But everybody has their thing. And
Yeah.
like I can't experience all of the things, hopefully, Jesus, hopefully. But you can at least be there for people during those times, even though you have no idea
hmm
what the fuck to do. You're like, listen, I don't really know, but I'm here to support. And it's the same thing, whether it's a parent passing or it's this crazy life thing happening, who knows what. But you're just there. You just show up. And I think
Yeah.
having something so extreme happen at a young age, you're able to see how much people truly love you and how much support and love you actually do have because we give it. Like I
Yeah.
think we all know how much love we give, but then when it comes back tenfold, you're like, wow, this is like above and beyond. And all these people loved not just me, but also my mom and would do that for
Yeah.
their friend and their friend's daughter and all of this. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
that's where there's a lot of like blessings and love and happy moments in the grief.
But yeah. That's a good way to put it. There is a lot of happy moments in it. And I don't know, it feels weird saying that though. It's like, yeah, my mom died, but there's so many good things that have come from
Yeah,
it.
so many good
Like
things because of it. You're like, no, it's not really like a job that didn't work out. Like it's a little more,
a little more
life altering.
permanent and intense. Yeah. But
Yeah.
no, you do. The relationships you build and really seeing like who's going to
Hmm.
be there for you through thick and thin. Like,
It's
people
special.
remember their death anniversary and they still text you all these years later. Like,
Mhm.
damn, that means a lot,
And after all these
Like,
years. Yeah.
yeah,
Like we're
like I
we're
never
coming up on my
expect
mom's
it, but
9 year and you just go, wow, that's for you to reach out like on a day like
yeah,
that, like you're thinking about it still to this day is so crazy.
yeah, nine
So
years. My
crazy.
gosh, every year
Mm.
that
You
goes
do a good
by.
job though. I want to be more like you now. That's like my goal.
Oh,
I want to be more like you in the sense of like bringing her more to life. I think I could take a lesson and a chapter from your book and that I think you do it really, really well.
thank you. It's small things. It's small things that add up. Like at the
Yeah.
beginning, it was monarch butterflies. I'm like, that feels like my mom. I'm going to start saying that anytime I see a monarch butterfly. That's my mom.
Oh.
And my best friend, like our moms were best friends growing up. So she's like my sister. He like she was at a Airbnb for her birthday one year and like a pigeon landed by the pool. And she's like, I was convinced that that was your mom. I'm like, whatever, sis,
And you're just
you.
like,
But
all
I
right,
think
man, I guess.
I'm like, my mom's a little bit more bougie than a pigeon, but if
Yeah.
that's
But
what
like
you
if
think,
that's what makes you feel of her and her presence, then I'll give
yeah.
it to you.
Yeah. And it's all the little things that add up. It's
Mhm.
thanks for the parking spot and it's thanks for the
Yeah.
sunset. It's, you know, anytime I get like a promotion at work or something, I'm like,
Hmm.
thanks, mom, for like helping me through whatever obstacle I had to get through to get here. And
Yep.
it's all the tiny things that make it so
Mhm.
impactful in the long run.
Yeah. Me and my brother had a really good conversation. I think it was on her birthday around like maybe like 7 years or 6 years or something like that. And we were like, oh my God, we live in California. We had some friends from home that lived there too. But originally we both just moved out on our own.
Yeah.
So you're kind of forced to like make friends who don't know your family. They don't know anybody, but they definitely don't know your mom that's no longer here. They're scared to even ask for the most part.
Yeah.
But we just had this like epiphany moment where we're like, oh my God, if we don't talk about her, her legacy will literally die not with us, but with her. And so
Yeah.
we had that moment of like, we need to be better. And like seeing yours, I'm like, okay, that's what I want to do, especially once I have kids, because I'm in that position too, unfortunately, where my kids will literally never meet my mom. And that sounds like a crazy
Yeah.
thing, even though she's been gone for years and years and years. I don't even have kids. I don't even have little rugrats running around. And I'm like, that will be the reality one day. And I want to make sure that I can bring that to them in the way that you do, where it's like, this is just who she was. This is like her
Mhm.
personality and her heart.
Yeah, you will. It will come naturally in those moments when you're like, I want my mom right now. That's when I'm like, let me show them a picture. Let me show them a video. I
Mhm.
don't have many videos, but
I
like let me
know.
show them the same video they've seen 400 times. Like
Yep.
let me tell a story about her, and they stick to it. They're like, okay, yeah, grandma. I know
Yeah.
grandma. And kids are very
Mhm.
gullible. You can make them believe anything.
She's
I'm
like, so they really,
99% sure. Yeah, I think Penelope like genuinely thinks he knew my mom. I'm like, I don't know if this is
yeah.
going to be trauma for you later on or if it's like a really beautiful thing because
Yeah.
I fully believe that my mom sent Penelope to us and she's like direct both of my girls are crazy pregnancy and conception stories, but I'm
Mhm.
like, you guys know my mom. You knew her in some other realm, in some
Some
other
way.
universe.
Yeah. Because there's certain things that you're like, it just doesn't add up any other way.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
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 And that's like a
So,
cool thing. I know there's what is it called? There's a book that all of my college girlfriends have read. And they're like, you have to read it, you have to read it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm forgetting the guy's name, but it has to do with living multiple lives and like the
mm,
afterlife and all of these different things. And I forget the name, but I'll have to ask them because I know there or something lives. It's called Something Lives. And it's a
hmm.
book about I don't know. I'm not even selling it. I'm not even doing a good job. But I will
I'm
text
interested.
them
I'm
and
like
then I will
several
text you
lives.
because I think you would literally love it. And I know you're on
Yeah,
your reading girl journey. You're
I
doing a
love
lot of parenting
reading.
books these days, but I think you'll like that one too. I still need to read
Yeah.
it. I still haven't, and I have said for years, I was like, I'll read it, I'll read it. Many lives? Is it many lives? Like it's not past lives. I'm gonna literally look this up. I'm
Oh,
pretty sure it's
I love
many
a good book
lives,
recommendation.
many lives, many masters.
Many
That's what it
lives,
is.
many masters.
Yep.
I'm gonna write
It's
that
from
down.
a author and psychotherapist.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to read it.
Yeah, like past life therapy and all of this stuff
Oh,
you will love.
that sounds heavy. Past life
Well,
therapy.
I don't think it's gonna be light. But they loved it. And I mean like all
Yeah.
different types of people have recommended not just that book, but also the guy Brian L. Weiss, Weiss. Oh, I don't know, MD.
Oh,
Um, he's done many other books too that people
yeah.
like literally love. I have
Huh.
no idea. But you'll have to check it out. And anyways, I
Yeah.
know that it's getting late, like we already started late and then we've just been chit-chatting.
I know. So easy to
Yeah,
do.
I think we gotta
Oh
wrap
my
it
God,
up.
it's already 9:45. I didn't even realize. Oh my
Like we've been
gosh.
chit-chatting. Like I know we started a
Yeah.
little late because I was feeling hungry and I was like, I need to eat something quick. But we have been chit-chatting for a minute now. So we'll
Yeah.
wrap it up here, but maybe we'll do another one soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's so good to catch up and like just talk to
I
someone who
know.
like gets it.
Yeah. It was so nice. I am so grateful that you came on the podcast. You're literally my first guest back. So thank you so much. I
Oh
appreciate
my
it. And hopefully we'll
gosh.
have you on soon.